While I was deployed overseas, my parents secretly sold my house, stole every dollar, then gave my children to my ex-wife and told them, "Your real dad is gone. This is your father now." They made my kids call her new husband Dad while telling them I had chosen a new family abroad. My mother texted, "You were always a burden, we finally got rid of you," they warned me. "If you ever try to come back, we'll make sure you never see those kids again." I didn't argue. I just laughed and started building a devastating revenge plan. It would shatter everything. They had 3 days ago. They found out now. They're begging through lawyers. "Please stop. You're destroying everything. We'll lose it all." So this is one of those posts where I honestly hope nobody else can relate. But yeah, here we are. I don't really post much, but my friends kept telling me to put this somewhere. Guess I just need to get it out. If you're reading this and thinking, "No way this happened," trust me, I wish I was making it up first. For context, I'm Jerry, mid-30s, 2 kids, Milana and Everly, both under 10, divorced for a while now, and I was gone for a long stretch overseas. I don't want to get into all the details about where or why. It's not that interesting and kind of beside the point. My parents, Nicholas and Ella, have always sort of hovered around my life in this weird way. Like they'd show up when it was convenient for them, vanish when I actually needed something. Not abusive, just cold, like everything was a transaction, even family stuff. My ex-LEAs, same name as my mom, don't even start, got remarried too. Sawyer last year, so yeah, my kids have been splitting time between houses depending on schedules, so I get back after almost a year away, and immediately stuff's weird. I'm staying at a friend's place because my apartment, which I thought I still had, is suddenly being renovated, according to the landlord. Even though I never signed anything for that, I chalk it up to just bad luck and try not to overthink it. But then I notice my phone has like 0 notifications from my kids, which is odd because we used to text pretty much every day, even if it was just memes or them spamming me with TikToks I scroll through. The family group chat, and it's just dead. Not even a "Hey Dad" or a "Look at this dog." Nothing from my parents either, which is, I don't know, not that shocking, but still I expected at least a fake welcome home, so I try calling. Mona goes straight to voicemail. Everly's number is suddenly not in service. I message my ex and she replies, like 2 days later, with just a thumbs up emoji, which is basically her way of saying, "Not dealing with you right now." I get it, but still not the best feeling. I try. My mom, nothing. Dad, nothing. After a while, I figure, okay, maybe they're just pissed I didn't call the second my plane landed. I walk past my old house, the one I bought myself that I paid the mortgage on for years, just for nostalgia. And there's a different car in the driveway, not even a car I recognize. I just stand there like an idiot, staring at this random Honda and thinking, well, maybe my dad finally upgraded, or my mom's out with friends. I try my old key, it doesn't fit. I sort of laugh like, did they change the locks and not tell me? Classic Nicholas and Ella move. Honestly, I walk around to the backyard, thinking maybe there's a spare key under the stupid frog statue. Nope, statues gone. Backyard furniture's different. The old swing set is gone. There's a new barbecue. I knock on the door, and this guy I've never seen before answers. He looks me up and down and says, "Yeah, can I help you?" I tell him, "Hey, I used to live here. Just wanted to see if my family's home." He just shakes his head and says, "Sorry, bought the place from an older couple. Nobody by that name here." I ask who he bought it from. He shrugs, says he never dealt with a Jerry, just some paperwork with a real estate company. I walk away, feeling like I'm in some weird dream where nothing is where it's supposed to be. So then, I try my parents' place, but their condo is across town, and honestly, I haven't been there in months. I text my dad, get left on read. Finally, I just drive over. Takes like 40 minutes and a lot of muttering to myself. We get there, and the place is way more lived in than I remember it. Boxes everywhere, new furniture, their old stuff gone. My mom opens the door, doesn't even look surprised to see me, just sort of sigh, and asks what I want. I ask her what happened to my house. She just shrugs and says, well, since I was gone so long with no end date, they figured it was best to sell it, move on, and start fresh, like it was just a thing you do, not a house I worked my ass off for. I ask what she did with my stuff. She says, oh, some of it's in storage, the rest got donated. I'm just standing there trying not to yell, because I can see my dad in the other room pretending to watch TV, refusing to even look at me. I ask about my kids, and my mom just goes, oh, they're with their mother, where they should be. I say I haven't heard from them in weeks. And she says, well, maybe you should have thought about that before disappearing. I tell her I didn't disappear, I was working. I told everyone where I was. It's not like I just ghosted. She just crosses her arms and says, well, they needed stability, so Ella and Sawyer took over. Then she says, and I'm not kidding, that they told the kids I moved away to start a new family, and it was time to let go. I just stare at her like, are you actually serious right now? My dad finally pipes up and says, you were always a handful. Jerry, it's not like you ever made things easy. I just laugh because what else do you even say to that? I ask, so you just sold my house, gave away my stuff, and cut me off for my own kids because what I was inconvenient. My mom just looks at me and says, you were always a burden, Jerry. We finally got rid of you. She actually says that I can't even look at her for a second. I just want to slam the door and never come back. Instead, I sort of push past her because I want to grab my old mail off the entry table. Don't even ask me why they still get my mail. They never bothered to change the address on anything. She blocks me, puts her hand on my chest, and tells me to get out. I push her hand off, not hard, just enough to get her to move, and she actually shoves me back, then slams the door in my face, so I'm standing in the hall, bruised ego. No house, apparently no kids, and my mom just texted me, don't ever come back here. I just sit in my car for a while, scrolling through old photos of Milana and Everly. Trying not to lose it, I check my bank app, and suddenly my main account is locked. I try the backup one. It's at 0. I call the bank, and after like 45 minutes of being on hold, the lady tells me the account was closed by someone with power of attorney. I just hang up because I know exactly who that was later. I dig through a pile of mail they threw at me on my way out, and there's this weird, unsigned letter that basically says, you're out, don't try to come back, you lost your right. And there's a bank statement showing every dollar I thought I had is gone. I guess I should have known better. I don't even bother texting my mom about it, 'cause I know what she'll say. So yeah, I'm sitting here, no house, no money, no kids' parents. Acting like I died, I keep playing over the last few years trying to figure out when they decided I was disposable. Maybe it was always like a thief. It took me too long to see it. I don't even care about the money at this point. It's the way they just erased me, like I was never really part of the family, just a problem to be managed. I know I should be freaking out, but honestly, I just keep laughing, not like haha funny, but that ugly, angry laugh. When you realize you have absolutely nothing left to lose. If they thought I was just going to disappear, they don't know me at all. I'm not going to let this go. I don't care how long it takes. They wanted me gone, fine. But they're about to find out what happens when you try to erase someone who has nothing left to lose. Next steps, not going to be pretty, but I'm done playing nice. Update 1, so I didn't think I'd be back here so soon, but honestly, I haven't been able to sleep more than like 3 hours at a time since all this started. Everything's a mess. If you saw my last post, you already know the basics. If not, here's the one-liner. My parents, Nicholas and Ella, managed to sell my house while I was overseas, cleared out my accounts, and handed my kids to my ex. Ella basically littling everyone. I was gone for good. My kids are with my ex and her new guy, Sawyer. And my parents told them to call him Dad. And the best part, my mom texted me that I was always a burden and they'd finally got rid of me. So yeah, that's where I was at last week. I guess I expected to just be stuck in a loop of rage and confusion, but after the first night of not really sleeping, I hit this point where it was like, fine if they want to erase me. Let's see how they handle real pressure. Anyway, here's how the first week of my revenge started. Not proud of how ugly some of it got. But if you think I was about to roll over and let them win, nah, the first weird thing. I noticed my old emails got a bunch of change of address notifications I never saw before because they went to a spam folder not just for mail, but for a couple of old accounts tied to my house. I hadn't checked that email in forever. Most of it was junk, but then I saw a transfer confirmation for a storage unit I'd never heard of, paid for upfront for a year. I don't have a storage unit. You check the address, and it was in the same suburb as my parents' new condo. So thanks, Mom, for not bothering to cover your tracks. I got in my car and drove over, figuring fine. At least I'll grab some of my stuff if they left anything. The storage place is grimy, and the guy at the desk is eating chips. Barely looks up, I hand him my ID and rental confirmation forwarded from my own email thanks to autofill, and he just gives me a code. I go to the unit, and yeah, it's just a pile of boxes, some labeled with my name, others with my ex's handwriting, some old kids' toys, a couple of photo albums, and then a box of paperwork. Honestly, felt like I was breaking into my own life. I sit on the cold floor and start flipping through stuff, half expecting to find nothing useful. But then I see a stack of signed forms with my name on them and handwriting that's, well, let's just say it's not mine. Some of this is my mom's loopy script. Some is my dad's block letters. I'm not a lawyer, but I know what my signature looks like. I take a bunch of photos with my phone and grab the whole box. I get back to Mifrian's place and start going through all of it. And this is when it starts to get gross. There's a breakdown of the house sale with signatures from me, except I never signed any of it, and my parents' names all over the transfer docs. There's a pile of receipts for moving costs and childcare expenses that they charged right after the sale, like they sold my house, took the cash, paid themselves, and then sent the rest off to who knows where. There's a string of bank transfers to my mom's account, then a couple to my dad's, then a wire out to my ex, all in the span of like 6 weeks. So it's not just, oops, we made a mistake. They planned it. I sit there with all this crap in my lap, and I just start laughing because it's so on brand for them to be this careful about their own comfort and not even bother pretending. For my sake, I'm not the most organized guy, but I know enough to make copies. I scan everything into a Google Drive folder and email it to myself, plus a burner account my buddy set up for me, just in case my phone accidentally gets wiped or something, because at this point, yeah, that feels possible. The next step is the money I still can't get into my main account, so I start calling around to every bank I've ever used. Most of them just give me the corporate version of Get Lost, but one branch manager actually listens when I tell him what happened and agrees to flag my old account for review. Nothing dramatic, just a note in their system. Still, it's something. Meanwhile, I start looking through the paperwork for anything I can use to screw with my parents' finances. I remember my mom bragging at Thanksgiving about how they were finally dip-free after paying off their old mortgage, except looking at the dates, they paid it off with my house sale money and then used the leftovers to buy their new condo. So yeah, they're dip-free because they burned me. I text my cousin Nicholas, not named after my dad, different side of the family. Long story, because he's one of the only people in the family who ever believed me about how toxic my parents could be. He laughs and says he heard my mom spinning this story at a birthday party about how I found someone new overseas, and that's why I was never coming back. He thought it was weird, but didn't push. I tell him everything, send him a couple of the docs, and he says, wow, let's see how they like it when the rest of the family finds out. I tell him, don't go nuclear yet, just start with grandma and see how fast the phones light up next. I try to call my kids again, but nothing, no replies, not even a read receipt. I message my ex Ella and just say I want to talk to Milana and Everly. She replies, it's not a good time, maybe next week. I try to push, she blocks me. Sawyer, her new guy, unblocks me just to send a message that says, you need to stop harassing my family, Jerry. I reply, they're my kids, and he tells me they're slow. Better off with us. I call him out for the way they've been making my kids call him dad, and he says, maybe you should have thought of that before you left. I tell him I didn't leave, I was sent away, and he just blocks me again at this point. I'm done trying to play nice. I start tracking down every single person my parents rely on for money or favors, church friends, old neighbors, even the family dentist, who I know my mom always hits up for free samples. I don't trash them, I just send a polite message with screenshots of the paperwork and ask if they knew about the sale. Most people don't reply, but a couple do, mainly just asking if I'm okay, or if what I'm saying is real. I just send the docs and say you can ask them yourself. I hear from my cousin later that my mom's phone has been blowing up with angry calls from people asking what the hell happened then. I get a letter in the mail from my parents' lawyer, basically saying I need to stop harassing the family or they'll take legal action. I laugh because I haven't done anything except tell the truth, but it's classic Nicholas and Ella to try and scare me with a lawyer letter. I take a photo, send it to my cousin, and he says, wow, they must be sweating if they're pulling out lawyers already. The best part. I dig through the paperwork one more time and find a letter from my dad to my mom written years ago, talking about how Jerry was always more trouble than he was worth, and how maybe it would be better if they just let me figure things out on my own. It's not even hidden, just stuffed in with the rest of the junk. I guess they never really saw me as family. Just a problem to be solved. Makes sense now. Oh, why they dumped me the second they could. So that's where I'm at. My parents' social circle is shrinking by the day. The family is starting to see through their act. My ex is doubling down on keeping my kids away, and Sawyer's playing tough guy, but the fact that they're all sending lawyer letters and blocking me tells me they're scared. I'm not even close to done yet. I've got copies of every document, every transfer, every lie. Honestly, the more I look at this, the more I realize it was never really about the money. It's about them finally getting the upper hand after years of resenting me for not living the life they wanted. They always treated me like an outsider, and now they think if they just erase me, all their problems are solved. Nah, I'm not going anywhere. Next step, I'm going to make sure everyone who ever helped them knows exactly who they're dealing with. They wanted me gone, but they forgot I'm the one person in this family who has nothing left to lose. So yeah, stay tuned. I'm not stopping until they feel it everywhere. Update 2. So I guess the weirdest thing about all this is how fast people start acting different when the story changes. I always thought my parents, Nicholas and Ella, had this lockdown circle, their friends, their routine, Sunday calls with the extended fam, all that. But as soon as things started leaking out, it was like people couldn't decide whether to look at me or look away, starting to feel like I'm the main character in one of those reality shows, except nobody's getting paid and no one looks good. I noticed first when my cousin Nicholas messaged that grandma was asking about me, not the usual guilt trip stuff, either, just real questions. If I was okay, if I needed a place to crash, if I wanted some old photos. She found that's when I realized my parents were losing the narrative. They'd always been the ones to tell the story. Jerry's dramatic. Jerry can't keep a job. Jerry's always off somewhere. Now people were asking me directly. It felt weird, I'm not going to lie. Half the time I didn't even know what to say, so I started slow. I texted a few people in the family group chat, just, hey, if you're hearing stuff about me, ask me first. Sent a couple screenshots, not everything, just enough to make it clear something was off. Honestly, I didn't expect much. Most people just liked the message. A couple left me on read, but then my aunt called my mom and asked point blank if she'd really sold my house. My mom called me after, and it was ugly. She started going off about how I was trying to ruin her life, how she did what she had to do, how I always made things hard for her. I told her, I'm not lying, I'm just done covering for you. She hung up. I heard later she slammed a door so hard a picture fell off the wall. Size classic. Ella, the money side, was next. Turns out you don't have to be rich to hit people where it hurts. You just have to know what they need. My parents knew Condo was paid for with my house sale, but they still had payments on the car, the storage unit, even some old credit cards they never closed. See? My dad hates paying interest. He always brags about how he's Dibtree, but it's because he spends every waking hour checking his accounts and moving money around, so I started calling every single place I ever had bills with every account that might still have my name on it. I didn't have to do anything illegal, just ask questions every time I called. They put notes in the system. Every time I asked for a statement, it slowed up their accounts. My mom texted me a week later saying it was causing problems with their bank. I didn't answer. I also started sending copies of the paperwork, just the basics. The stuff with obvious forgeries to a few people my parents owed money to, not a lot. Just old family loans they never paid back. I figured if they're going to play games with my life, let's see how they like it when the cousins want their money back. I kept it simple. Hey, you might want to check on that loan you gave Nicholas and Ella. Here's some paperwork I found. A couple people messaged back. Mostly just confused one, really pissed off. I heard my parents had a screaming match over it. This is just how they are when they're cornered. They turn on each other. Meanwhile, I kept trying to reach my kids. Nothing from Alana or Everly, but I did get a call from their friend's mom who said Everly had been asking if I was coming to her birthday. I just said, yeah, I'd love to, but I guess I'm not on the list. She sounded awkward, said Ella. Told her I was traveling. Sure, that's one way to put it. I thanked her and hung up later that night. I got a message from Sawyer, my ex's new husband, basically telling me to stop harassing people. I replied, I'm not. The one line to kids, he blocked me. I'm not sure what he thinks he's protecting, but I know he likes being the hero. Dad, I get it, but he's just making it worse. The biggest hit was social. My mom's whole world is her tea group, these women who get together and gossip about everyone else. I sent a polite group message. Just wanted you all to know everything you're hearing about me is coming straight from my parents. If you want the real story, ask me. I attached a couple of the sale papers within. A day, two of them unfriended my mom. One sent me a thinking of you gift, and another left me a voicemail just breathing for like 20 seconds and then hanging up. Old people-on phones. I swear my dad tried to call me a few days later, first time in what months. He started off quiet, which is how I know he's mad. Said I was making things impossible for them, that I should just let it go. I said, you never let anything go when it's about you. He told me I was ungrateful, that he always did his best. I reminded him his best involved making me sign over everything and then acting like it was my fault. He started yelling. I started yelling. He tried to talk over me. I told him to get lost. In the middle of it, I heard my mom in the background. She was crying. I hung up. I guess that sounds harsh, but after everything, I just don't have the energy to care. What I didn't expect was how fast the dominoes fell. My parents stopped getting invited to stuffed dinners, birthdays, even church things. I heard from Nicholas, my cousin, not my dad, that my dad showed up at a family dinner and nobody talked to him. He left early, slammed the front door. I guess that's what happens when you spend your life telling everyone how bad your kid is and then get caught. My mom, meanwhile, started sending me these guilt trip texts about how I was destroying everything and why couldn't I just move on. I didn't answer. She sent a long Facebook message and then blocked me. She's always been dramatic like that on the money side. I kept at it. I went to the condo association and asked about the ownership, not trying to cause trouble. Just checking on some details for family stuff. They said there had been issues with payments lately, late fees, stuff like that. I didn't even have to do anything, just kept asking questions. No, my parents have always hated looking bad in front of the neighbors, so I made sure to chat with a couple in the lobby while I was there. Just small talk, nothing obvious, but word gets around. I saw my mom a day later and she actually pushed past me in the parking lot, muttering about how I was ruining her life. I didn't move. The weirdest twist, I found out my parents borrowed money from Sawyer, my ex's husband, to help pay off some of their moving costs. I guess they thought I'd never find out, but my cousin overheard them talking about it at a family thing. So now Sawyer's pissed at them too, which is honestly the funniest part of this whole mess. I never thought I'd be on the same side as that guy for anything, but here we are. The piece that hit me hardest was when I finally got a message from Milana. Not long. Just, is it true what Grandma said? I sat and stared at the screen for like 15 minutes. I just said, I'm here if you want to talk. She didn't reply, but I know she saw it. So that's where we are now. My parents' social life is basically ashes. They're scrambling to keep up with bills, and the family's actually asking questions for once. It's not fixed. Nothing's really better. But they're feeling it everywhere, and I'm not stopping next round. I'm making sure everyone who ever trusted them knows exactly what they did. No more secrets, no more lies, honestly. I'm just getting started. Final update, okay? So I know I said I was just getting started before, but even I didn't expect things to got this far. If you told me a year ago I'd be here with my whole family basically detonated and my parents scrambling, I'd have said you'd watch too many Netflix revenge dramas. But honestly, this is just real life. It's messy, nobody wins, and all I got out of it is a sort of grim satisfaction that they finally got what was coming. If you made it this far, buckle up, because the last few days have been unreal. So the first hint that things were about to get even messier was a text from my cousin, the one who's always kind of kept me in the loop. He goes, "Hey, did you hear Grandma's threatening to cut off your parents if they don't pay back what they owe?" And I just laughed like, after all these years of being the family scapegoat, now my parents are facing the music for the money, not just the drama. It hit me that I didn't actually have to do much more for the dominoes to fall. I just needed to give things one last push. The final step wasn't some grand plan, just a simple thing. I sent a folder to every person who ever gave my parents a loan, trusted them with money, or believe it, their story's not public. Just direct the docs, the transfers, the fake signatures, the messages my mom sent me about being a burden. All of it. I didn't add any comments. Just let the facts speak. It was the most boring group email I ever wrote. Then I put my phone on silent and went for a walk around the block because honestly, I needed a break from my own life. For a few days, I barely checked my phone. I played a lot of dumb games, watched too much YouTube, ate a bunch of crap food. Just tried not to think. But you can't really ignore family drama. It finds you. My dad called. First time in weeks. Left a voicemail. He sounded tired, not angry for once. He said, "You've destroyed us." I deleted it without listening twice. Then the lawyer emails started. Nothing scary, just a lot of threats about defamation and cease and desist. I forwarded them to my cousin, and he said they're desperate, don't answer. I didn't. My mom tried to come by my place once, just showed up without warning, started banging on the door. I opened it, and she just started yelling about how I'd ruined everything, how I should be ashamed, how I was always selfish. She tried to push past me, and I blocked her. She slapped my arm. I just stood there and told her, "You did this to yourself." She stomped off, slammed the door to the building so loud I heard my neighbor swear. If you're wondering about my ex and her husband, Sawyer, well, Sawyer's still pissed, but he's more annoyed at my parents now than at me. Apparently, he only learned about the missing money when some of the old loan docs came to him. He called me, told me to stay away, but honestly, think he's just tired. I don't blame him. Ella, my ex, is keeping the kids close, but she's finally stopped blocking me. I get one word replies from Milana and Everly now and then. Nothing deep, but it's something. My parents' social circle is gone. I thought it had just slowed down, but it's like they got erased. No more dinner invites, no more group texts, nobody dropping by. I heard from Nicholas, the cousin, that a couple people even asked if they should change their numbers. My mom keeps trying to guilt-trip me with long emails, but I just archive them. I'm not interested in her drama anymore, just the facts. The weirdest part, the condo board started sending my parents warnings about late fees and disruptive behavior after Mimum got into it with a neighbor in the hallway. I guess she was yelling about how the family turned on her, and the neighbor told her to keep it down so now they're facing fines. On top of everything else, I almost feel bad, but then I remember the messages she sent me, calling me a burden, telling me they got rid of me. I don't actually feel bad at all. I wish could say this ended with some huge moment, like I show up at a family dinner, everyone stands and claps, my kids run into my arms. But that's not real life. Real life is me, sitting at a kitchen table with a pile of bills, a busted laptop charger, barely talking to my own kids, but knowing that at least I finally stood up for myself. I didn't let them erase me. I didn't let them lie to everyone and get away with it. There's no big reunion. No magic apology, no perfect ending. Milana texted me last week, just, "Hey, is it true, Grandma?" "Lead," I said. "Yeah, but you can always ask me anything." She said, "Okay then, nothing else." That's pretty much as good as it gets right now. So yeah, that's where it stands. My parents are broke, isolated. Their reputation is trash, and they're starting to feel what it's like being on the outside. I didn't fix my family, but I made sure they'll never pull this with anyone else again. I'm not healed, I'm not happy, but not invisible. That's enough for now. Thanks for reading. If you ever get the urge to roll over and be the bigger person with people who want to ruin you, take it from me, sometimes the best thing you can do is refuse to disappear.